Hey, this is Sid with Table Talk with Sid Features. I'm with the Practical Mystic and the Erotic Life, Dawni and Jody. We were attempting to post a podcast a couple of days ago, and I think the brilliance of how God, life, and the universe works is often, roadblocks are created, opportunities are sometimes maneuvered because timing is everything. And the time is right now, I believe, that our subject, which it's going to be again today, is on gratitude, but I think we also add in opportunity. I think we add in the opportunity and the ability to create your life the way you choose it to be, to take back your life if you feel like your life has been taken. Maybe you feel like your opportunities have been taken. After this election, it has made some people go a little dingling. I think just a little bit off the deep end, because I think so many people have lost the fact that your greatness and your future, your ability, your power does not sit in your boss, doesn't sit in your job, it doesn't sit in your wife or husband, and it definitely does not sit in your president. And that all of these things that so many people want, which they're saying they want peace, they want a stable community, they want a powerful country, they want to be able to become and do whatever they want to become and do. All of these things that they're pointing out all sit within them. And individuals who start looking outside themselves, when you start looking outside yourselves to whatever you look to, and this is why often, because I deal with so much addiction with different individuals for 20 some odd years, that's the hiccup, is that people look outside themselves, and that's where they start looking for peace. Is that in a drug? Is that in a drink? Is that in depression? Is that in the lack of belief in yourself? Whatever you do when you look outside yourself to fulfill yourself, you're going to be disappointed 100% of the time because it's not out there. So last discussion I started with you, Jody, I believe. I'd like to start with you, Dawni. I really want to hear your outlook, because what I do love, once again, about the difference between the three of us is we say the same thing, but we say it a little differently. And I think it's highly valuable right now because there's so many people that need to hear inspiration, motivation, ability, hope. And if one of us can speak to even one person, that we can say it a little differently so that they can find it again, I think that's the power of today. So I want to hear from you, Dawni. What can you put out there that helps people to find happiness, peace, hope again?
The thing that's been really interesting to me about this election, and I do first want to acknowledge that I understand. I understand the fear and I understand the pain, particularly of the people who have been, have felt marginalized and disenfranchised for so long. It's a valid way to feel. I just want now, it's a day later, and we can take a minute and look in a more calm light. The biggest thing that has occurred to me is that it's time for us to acknowledge our sovereignty. Every one of us is an actual free sovereign human being, and that seems to be the thing that we forget. When we put the power outside of ourselves, what we instantly do is make ourselves victims. We
Right.
don't like to see it that way. We don't like to use that word. It's like, no, I'm not victim. Well, it is victim mentality to put the power outside of yourself.
And I would love for you to give your definition of a victim, because everybody thinks different
Yes.
of what a victim
Right.
is.
To me, a victim is somebody who is not at choice.
Agreed.
Just a very simple explanation. Somebody who is not at choice. And that is usually a false belief. They think they're making a false choice. It's between this one option I don't want and this one option I don't want. In reality, we have infinite options.
Right.
Even if one of those options is to lay down on the floor and throw a huge temper tantrum. Or, I laid in bed for 2 hours yesterday and ate a bag of potato chips. And
I hope they were good, because that sounds really yummy.
I don't regret it. That was my moment of just kind of being with what was so and being with my feelings about it. And then I got up and literally dusted myself off of potato chip crumbs and and got on with my day. I loved my kids and I did some work and I took care of myself and went to a basketball game and ended up having a productive day. The big thing here, going back to the original subject, which is gratitude, the thing here is it's very difficult for us to stay in any kind of a victim mentality when we are grateful.
Absolutely.
The thing that occurred to me, I had a friend over for coffee yesterday right after all of the, things had been announced, and we're looking out the window and it's this beautiful fall day, and we're both of us holding this hot cup of delicious coffee, and we're good friends. And I thought, I'm so grateful for these things. I'm still so grateful for this country. I'm so
Absolutely.
grateful for the opportunities that we have. Nobody has taken away our opportunities. We need to really watch that we do stay in gratitude. Look around you right now as you're listening to this podcast. Look around you. Are you, where are you? Is it beautiful? Is it peaceful? Do you still have your power? Do you still have your health? Do you still have your family? These are the things that we really need to look at and focus on, especially in these times of fear. That's what will bring us back. That's what will swing that pendulum back to center.
Right.
Is gratitude. It's understandable and even easy to give in to the paranoia,
Right.
the anxiety, the fear, to be that Chicken Little running around saying the sky is falling.
Right.
But it is gratitude that will bring you back to your center and let you know everything's going to be okay. There's evidence all around you that it already is okay.
Absolutely. And what I think is interesting, and I'd like you to address this, Jody, is that it doesn't matter what country you go to. All these people are saying they're going to all these different countries. The fact of the matter is, nothing is ever going to be perfect because it is run by human beings. But if you look at this country and all the hardship the three of us have come from, but overcome and are thriving, and the hardship of just the average everyday person, this country, there is not many places in this world where a woman could reach, be, and do anything
Absolutely.
she chooses. This country, yes, has its flaws, and it will forever have its flaws because of human beings. However, we're able to raise our children the way we choose to raise them. We're able to work and do whatever we choose to do. We're able to do all of these things that if you really go outside the country, and that's why I'm a huge advocate of people going and traveling and seeing the world.
Oh, yes, getting some perspective in this.
Because you know what, and I don't want to diminish the issues that people have here, but if you really look at what we go through in this country, really, if you look at the world, is hiccups. We have hiccups because we have outreach programs. We can do things to help ourselves. We have communities that have ability, power, money, all of these things that can help us. Is called wanting to help yourself. But you go outside this country, and I know that a lot of people would say they don't have the means to do that. However, you find a way. If more people could really see what the rest of the world has challenges with, you will realize we are sitting in a brilliant country, in brilliant opportunity, and we have ability. You may not like how things are, but because we sit in the country like this, you have an ability to start problem solving, start figuring out what you want to do differently to make a difference. I'd like to know from you, Jody, what you think as this person from your background and this woman in this country, what kind of words can you give to empower people to take a moment to find that they have the strength, that they as a community are the ones that will make a difference in this country? It isn't their president, it's them.
Well, I think taking the last couple days to mull this over, I'm one of those two that went, are you kidding me?
Right.
How could we have done this?
I agree 100%.
But this is a great opportunity to do some mirror work. Oh my God, I just said mirror work. Take a look at who this person represents as a country and take a look at who you are in that reflection. I don't want to bring up the bad terms that people have labeled him, but take them yourself and look at yourself and see where you are a reflection of that and he's a reflection of you. Because I think it's a good opportunity for us to see these are still problems in our country. And so what can we personally do to change these
Sure.
things? So one way to do that, I'm just a big proponent of writing down the gratitude. I make a habit of it every single day of writing down what I'm grateful for. Well, here's an opportunity to look at those individual things that bother you in this scenario and find out where can you find places of gratitude within that. So I know me personally, being a woman, of course, misogyny is something that really bothers me. But I get the opportunity to look at all the beautiful men I have in my life that actually honor and respect women, and they don't look at it as a competition. In fact, as women, we tend to think that we have to compete with men, and we don't have to do that. And I am very honored to have these beautiful relationships in my life that are not a competition.
Right.
They're saying, you're woman and I'm man, and we're both beautiful, and we can come to the table and make something great. And so I get the chance to reflect and look at all the places where I can be grateful for the wonderful people that are in my life. And I can focus on that. I don't need to focus on the negativity of it. Well, the truth of the matter is because I'm focusing on the things that I'm grateful for, I don't have the bullshit come into my life.
Right, right.
So I don't have to deal with people that are a reflection of that. So by being more grateful for the things that I can recognize in my life that are opposite of what I don't like, focusing on that.
And if I'm hearing you correctly, you're also saying pick and choose who you put in your life so that you're surrounded by people who are like-minded as you. Because what I just heard is you're saying that way you don't have to fight all that other crap because you've brought some people in that are inspiring to you and you
Well,
inspire them.
I agree with that to some extent. But as you know, through the teachings of the law of attraction, we attract like.
Correct.
So because I am emanating a certain vibration, that's what I attract in my life. So I don't have to eliminate people from my life. I just attract a certain
So here's
kind
a
of
question
person.
for you then, because this will be good for the listener. So here are many, many people who are surrounded by a certain type of person, because I agree with you 100%. What you are inside, what your core is, how you think, how you believe, is who it is attracted to you and who you attract. That's just basically how it is. However, there are people out in the community that don't quite understand that concept. So their life is circling with individuals that may not be seeing life the way this person wants to see it in their head. It means they want it, doesn't mean that they're reflecting it. So how do you give suggestion to them to either, one, start creating and thinking different to attract different, two, how to begin today with the people they have around them?
Okay. Well, pretty simple. First of all, you have to define what it is you want. Because you may have this idea, but all of a sudden you're going back to old patterns where you're going, that's what I want, but, you come up with Yabbitt's disease.
Okay.
Yeah, but I can't. Yeah, but. Well, that Yabbitt's disease is going to kill you.
Correct.
You have to define clearly what you want and start to focus on that every day instead of the negative. As soon as you turn that around and say and let that Yabbitt's disease sneak in, then all of a sudden that's what you're going to attract is the yeah, but I don't have enough money.
Correct.
Yeah, but who would want to be around me? Because as soon as you go back into that negative thinking, that's what you're going to attract. So you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So look at who those people are and find out, are those people that you really want to become? Because if they're not, then it's time to focus on the people that you want to become. And when you spend your focus on that, it's not that these other people that you just say, sorry, you're not my friend anymore. But automatically, when you start to focus on what you really want, things will happen. Those people will just grow out of your life for whatever reason. And it doesn't have to be an unpleasant parting. It's just an evolution where we move on to new people and new experiences.
Well, a filter gets created. My experience has been that as I am a positive, happy, optimistic person, people who are not that way actually don't enjoy my company.
Right.
I have had people say things like, I find you to be obnoxiously happy. They will even sometimes think that I'm faking it, because if they were acting that happy, they would be faking it.
Sure.
They will filter themselves. And really, usually with no drama at all.
I agree.
They'll just kind of stop having any desire to be around you.
Because that attraction isn't there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's just, it's not anything
same.
that they're interested in.
Right.
And there is how most people in our society communicate, or at least a large number, is complaint-based communication.
Correct.
They say, here's my complaints, and then you listen to them, and in return, at the end, you agree with their complaints, and then you give them your list of complaining, and they agree with you. When you don't have this type of communication, people don't enjoy talking to you if that's how they're used to relating.
Correct.
They'll complain. This happens to me. They'll complain.
And then there's a 0 at the other side.
And then I'm just like, well, I have actually some great ways that we could solve that and heal that practically immediately. And the reality for me, because I do that for a living, I don't love to do that on coffee dates.
Sure.
In fact, I've even said, why don't you come see me for a session?
Yeah.
Because
so that you can just have conversation.
Well,
You
and
wanna
there's
just
a
be able to-
difference. Don't you think there's a difference between, I even gave it a name so that it felt more spiritual, but I call it dynamic clearing instead of venting. But sometimes you have a purpose. You just want to
Sure.
get something out into a space where someone can hear you, and there's a relief there, and there's
Sure.
an intention to heal it and move on.
Correct.
And that's different than just the constant complaints where you actually get irritated when someone has a solution.
Sure.
People get addicted to complaining. So bringing back in that gratitude, that is the antidote to those complaints. Because as soon as you realize how good your life actually is, have you ever heard yourself start to complain about something and then just like, that's ridiculous. My life is so good. We all have our first world problems, and obviously there are people listening to this.
But I like that. May I say that again?
Yes.
Our first world problem.
And often it's not always that.
Right.
There are people with real issues going on.
Sure.
Real pain and real suffering, and I don't want to diminish or disparage that. But what I'm speaking to is just those daily complaints.
Sure.
That we really have no intention of changing. When you bring gratitude to that, all of a sudden you see how good things really are. And why wouldn't you change those little things if you can? And if you can't, why wouldn't you let them go?
Absolutely.
Back to the serenity prayer. Right now, we literally have no say in this moment over who's the president.
Right.
That's going to happen. But what we do have say over is how much we look inside ourselves, like Jody mentioned, looking in the mirror. Where am I? Any reflection whatsoever of the things that I'm saying I dislike about this situation. And then to say, and am I or am I not a sovereign human being that can make my choices, that can live an amazing life, and if it comes down to it, can fight for what we need to fight for. We have so much power than we give ourselves, and it is really brought back into focus when we're grateful for it, when we recognize that in real life we are free. Stand up and walk around. Look, you're free.
Right.
Walk out
Right.
your door. You're not going to get arrested for that. These are the things that we need to keep in focus and come back to.
I want to touch on what you said about fight. That's an interesting thing to look at right now because so many people are fighting against what they don't want, which is the absolute incorrect energy
Correct.
to have. You need to focus on what you want to happen. Fight for what you want,
That's
not
correct.
what you don't
Absolutely.
want.
You just give it more power.
Exactly.
Because most people are focused on what they don't want, what they can't have, what isn't working, who's been unfair to them, and who's taken something from them. And wherever you put your focus is what you get more of.
Always. Absolutely.
100% of the time. And so I think that's a great note for us to end on, is that if more people can find their power, their ability, their wisdom, and their value to find gratitude, put their focus in gratitude, they will find their life will bloom easier. Their life will be more peaceful. They will have more hope. They will have this thing about them that will actually pick up their shoulders and pick up their chin because it lightens the load.